Here we go. One more in a series of educational shredder videos by Dan Berta, the Shredder Man. But I'm not the only shredder man. There are plenty of guys that are experts in this industry, but there's also a ton of guys that are not experts, that don't even know what they're talking about. Now let's start with a machine. Slow speed shear type shredder, which is really nothing more than an office paper shredder made big. A lot of people like to use them for tire recycling, scrap metal processing, steel drum processing, or shredding. This is a spacer that goes on an industrial size shear type shredder, and surprisingly, this here is a 13-inch center-to-center shaft machine, like the AZ80 Shred Pack, a line that we have, the Idol 6241, which we have, the 6240 Saturn that my father and I designed back in the 70s, the 2400 or 2600 SSI, which I invented and owned and then sold out. A whole bunch of people are in this industry, but here is something that's important. There's the thickness of the spacer. This is just a spacer. This is not the cutter. This is a hex, and there's a flat-to-flat distance and a tip-to-tip distance on the hex. But just so you get an idea of the size of a machine, this is about the smallest size that you want to use for tire shredding, or for steel drum shredding, which we call a 13-inch center-to-center design machine. Today, we build a 16, we build a 24, a 36, and a 48-inch center-to-center, with other designs in between, like a 19-inch and a 21-inch. But we have found that by the time you build a 13-inch center-to-center, and you jump up to a 16-inch center-to-center, you can jump up to a 24-inch center-to-center almost for very little money. But what's important for all of you to understand is the size of the spacer that goes on one of the two shafts of the shear type shredder, or in a quad, which is a common generic name that we all gave a 4-shafted slow-speed shear type shredder. Once again, this is the size of the spacer that normally goes on a large industrial shredder. And if you don't have this size of a spacer, or something near this size, then you're not buying an industrial shredder. You're buying a lower-end, lighter-duty shredder. Sometimes, however, people get confused because lighter-duty shear-type shredders can often look like they're a heavy-duty shear-type shredder when you throw material in it when the machine is brand new, or the cutters are brand new, or it's a quick little test like on YouTube, which this video is going to be on. Do not be impressed by YouTube videos of machine shredding. What you need to be impressed with are those companies that build shredders that have been around since 1966 or 1970 or 1980. There are a lot of newbies or new companies that basically are taking advantage of this situation in the growing environmental green movement. A lot of companies are taking advantage of the growth in recycling, which requires shredders, grinders, raspers, hammer mills, etc., etc. So in my endeavor to try to educate people on what they need to look for, this is the very beginning of your selection process, and the selection process should be a big question mark on how heavy duty and well built is my shredder, and does it have a spacer this big to make it heavy duty. If a shredder is not the size of a car, an SUV, or a school bus, it's not in what we call the industrial category. So be very careful, because a lot of people do buy too small of machines on too small of center distances. They work very well for the first hour or two, or the first week, or the first month, and then they start breaking. So be careful on who you buy from, and make sure you do your research We're ShredderHotline.com, the Idol Shredder Group, the ShredPak Shredder Group, the Titan Shredder Group. We are well known in this industry since 1966. Thank you very much.